Welcome back to another reading and correcting of A Familiar Death with me, Tindar the Tiger Writes, and Ty the Tiger. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Shh. And we are doing chapter 5. Okay? As soon as he stepped outside, Trembor's gaze was drawn to the sound of heckling. It was on the other side of the street, far for him to make out the words, but he recognized the cadence and body language. 5 of them, 2 else, were following close. A sixth, a silver-furred wolf, woolen pelt tied to his chest and black pants were torn in places. They shoved him while he did his best not to fall, or thought he could matted down with the few sounds that carried to him were his tormentors braying at him. He took a step to cross the street. Arnold grabbed his arm. Don't. A pained expression. What are they doing? Or asked. Anger. He was caught having sex with a sheep, judging by what they are forced back to the there like that because he had sex with you. We don't mix with the commune here. Or pulled his car. Or wrenched his arm out of his hold. Don't tell me you're okay with that. Charlotte looked now fleeing wolf. Shook his head. I'm not, but there's nothing I can do. You could go there and tell them to stop. And the moment I leave, they'll start on him again, even harder. Going, how long are they going to keep at it? Till he leaves. He's branded now. He was caught with a sheep, so he's just like them. He's worse than them. You don't see anyone here treat a sheep the way they're treated. He's treated like that just for sleeping around. No, for getting caught. Charlotte looked around. Family of Badger going to the hardware store. A tigress. Barrett were talking, waiting as the conversation began. Everyone here's done it, all know it, but no one talks about it. Unless you get caught, then no one will shut up about it. Going to be bullied, ostracized, ridiculed. His parents? They aren't going to do that. How can they not do anything to protect their son? Paul rested his arm on top of the car. They're going to tell themselves they did all they could already. They told him to stay away from those sheep, that he was too good for them, to be careful if he ended up being curious. Now, his own fault, and he has to live with the consequence. This town is hard. This town is hard on anyone who can't follow the rule. Looked at him. How did you manage to survive? Blackford gave a bitter laugh. I laughed. He'll leave too. Got in behind the wheel. Trevor looked back at the group, trying to understand how anyone could be this cruel. That looked young, barely of predation. Trevor had been the victim of cruelty as a cub, at the hand of other cubs. It was something cubs did. He'd done it too. They weren't cubs anymore. They should know better than to treat someone. They could have been. They should have been taught better. The urge to intervene, step in action. Ram, please don't. Marlot said through the going to help, he added when Trump looked at it. He looked at them again, then looked at as Marlot pulled away. Not one of them had stepped in. They'd watched, a few smiling, but back to what they had been doing. What kind of people were they? Only been here a few hours. Already hated it. Marlot drove. Seeing the silver-furred wolf being harassed had brought too many other memories. His fears what he of suffering Margelo's fate. Other trees pulled to the side of the road. Signs of people hadn't been since town proper. He got out, stepped for a small ditch, then grassy hill. The weight of the memories the place brought back hunched our favorite spot. Marlot said when he stood before. He'd chase me between the trees, and I'd have to climb up the branches. I'd always fall out of them, and he's at the house. He looked up among the red. He reached up and ran a claw along the low branch. His name was Margelo, white pad. He was 2 years older than I was. Everything. You and he were mates? Marlot shook his. I was 12. What I felt for him wasn't the adoration of a cub for someone who was everything I wasn't. He was tall, handsome, about me. Even before he said it, I knew. He kept bannering and his ilk from. Got me out of fight. Else, let me win sometimes, and I found changes like. I was less than a year away from my. Amazing to that with him. What happened? Lion asked. We'd meet up here when we ran around. He called me, called them, told me that as we were older, we'd leave this town, go to the city, and we'd be happy to. Felt so happy that I allowed a problem. I nuzzled him. He did the same with me, and wonderful. None of the comes with the. Followed, lowered his gaze, and ran and walked among. Stopped him for a cross patch of a couple of feet, ran his hand. We did this as our way of making a promise binding. Like my claws in him, we'd always be together. They are. Wiped it. It had the mark. A few days after this, for sketching it is the memory. I was done with classes, getting home when I saw a bunch of adults that formed a ring and sounds coming from the other side of them. Forced my way through them. Marlot rested his head against the. In the center of the ring, I saw Baneric, Ratson, Melikian, and Liran. I only noticed the fifth person there when Pratson kicked him in the stomach. Marlot shuddered as that sound then made on him. Young wolf. Well, the young wolf's cries. I didn't understand what was going on. I had got fights with them before. The adult had intervened, stopped them from hurting each other too badly. There had never been blood before. Arleon stepped into the ring, and he kicked Margelo too. None of the adults did anything. Adult covered his ears, wishing the gesture would. Arleon spoke loudly, proudly. He proclaimed this was what came of raising their tails for. Found out later that Benerick and Pratson had caught Margelo and bulls from having sex. Never said, but I expect they killed the bull right there. Marlot hit his head against the. Picked him like he. Arleon told us to watch him, let him be a lesson for all of us. That a male's place was by a female. 5 of them kicked Margelo again, and then the other adults joined in. Even Margelo's father was there. His own father was killed him. Marlo turned and eyes glistened. That's how I know that Will's didn't do anything. A toothless coward let this town destroy Margelo, and he's going to let it destroy his other son too. So there. Might have said something, didn't give him the. He looked at. Margelo looked at me pleading. He wanted me to do something. Why? I ran as fast as I could. I didn't stop running until I was home and buried my face in my mother's chest. She held me, crooning that she knew. All I could say was that it was horrible. But his eyes, and it was more angered. Thought he was. She said I was right. That I was right. It was horrible for a male to have male. Marlot Trembor reached for him, clinched away in lion's eye. Wait for his death. Ask after no one. What? No one paid. They made the celebration of it. It went on in the night. He was 14. There was no way that he was of predation age. Killing someone under predation is a crime. Killing someone underage is a crime. Who is going to claim the revenge? His own father was one of his killers. The system had to notice he died. What did they do? Fake that he was still alive? I looked into it. As far as the system knows, Marlot was of predation age when he died. Went in and changed his age. That's impossible. The place runs according to its own. No one here cares about the law. They just want things to go the way they want. The city can't be okay with that. Wake up, Trem. The cities don't want to know. They don't want anything to upset the distribution of vegetables. So long as what happens stays here, they don't even bother sniffing the air. Oh, I'm so sorry. There was more in the lion's eyes. Marlot could see so much more he wasn't. Last time I saw Marlot, I told him I loved him. Marl, I'm not him. That isn't going to happen to me. That, right? I want to believe it. But I ran away from this place, promising myself I'd never come back. Yet here I am. We have to be. If anyone suspects that we're, even though it was only the two of them, you send on. They can't do that. She said, for one thing, I won't let them. If they touch one strand of your fur, I'm the one who's going to tear them apart. And for another, they can't hide our death. They'd have to pay our taxes. Cheap. Al died. Maybe not, but they have the city's budget to cover that. We wouldn't even make a blip on that. You need to be careful. I know how much you enjoy touching me. Do. But we can't do that in public. Even if we think we're alone, it's too dangerous. All right. Lion said, how is it? Be easy. It won't be easy, but I'll keep my hands off it. Maybe we should find lodging, Kenrat. Marlot shook. Need to get settled. We need to get settled into my old office. The quicker we start, the faster we're going to be out of here and back to our Marlot. Made it. I just wish you'd been able to leave. Why? Got his head, and this concludes chapter of A Familiar Death. If you are in this, please, if you want to know when the next chapter is going to be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to read the story, as well as the other indices, are available on Support Me. That's on my Patreon, where you get access to about everything I've written. And if you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. Links are notes. And with that, I say.